Hello, it's Peter again. I'm mortified 5 minutes after the end of the last video to reassess my arithmetic. Of course, it's 32 acres. 5,000 goes into 160,000 32 times. Road ahead is closed, but we don't care about that because we are going to Springfield Farm, which is a haven for horses. We can find the way in. Here we are. Good. As you can probably tell by the neighing sounds, which are not me throwing my voice, they are genuine horses. Probably don't like the heat much, but there are stables down there. Probably don't like me filming, but I'm not doing it very much. Anyway, we're still heading west towards the sun, towards a better view of the Colne Valley, which I will come to quite soon. So this being a farm that focuses on horses, you will see a lot of horse boxes. But of course, unfortunately, not many horses. You usually see horses in this field, but not today. Another thing that I've seen fairly recently, I come along on this walk fairly regularly. I once bumped into a chap who claimed he was a metal detectorist, and I thought, well, that's interesting. So I asked him a bit about it, and he told me the usual stuff, and it put me in mind of a television program that was on, I think it was on Channel 4 or something, about 2014, 2015, called either The Detectorists or just Detectorists, which I used to enjoy a lot because the humour was pretty laid back, pretty realistic, and the acting was pretty good as well. It starred Toby Jones as Lance, I think, and McKenzie Crook as Andy. Now, McKenzie Crook, for older viewers, will be remembered for his role in The Office, of course, where he played a kind of slightly obsessive health and safety bloke from memory. But lo and behold, about 10 years later, he wrote Detectorists and starred in it and directed it. Good for him. Very entertaining, and it's repeated fairly often, and I quite enjoy it. While I'm on the subject of Detectorists, I've got one or two connections, not direct, but one of my favourite actors is in it, a chap called Simon Farnaby. Now, he first came to my attention, I don't know, about a similar time really, perhaps a bit before, when they uncovered the grave of Richard III. And I think he was involved somehow. He helped present the documentary or whatever, because it was, interesting. They found some bones, wondered if it was Richard III in a car park in Leicester, underneath a car space with the letter R on it, which coincidentally could be Rex for King. And he was with a lady who was very keen to prove it was Richard, and she was successful. And ultimately, it was the skeleton they found had curvature of the spine, and they traced an ancestor. I think it was one of Richard III's sister or something, about 17 times removed, and the DNA matched. Some chap from Canada, who coincidentally was a carpenter, and when they established that it was Richard III, they decided what to do with him. Took a while, because lots of places actually wanted to bury him. York, Leicester, perhaps London, I don't know. And I think this chap, who was a relative, actually made the coffin. So I think Richard would have liked that. He was killed, as you all know, in 1485 at the Battle of Bosworth, having only been king for 2 years. And he's rather abused, his body was rather abused. Anyway, here we are, this is the view. Colne Valley. I'm looking directly at a sewage works, but you didn't want to really know that, viewers. It's just a beautiful, what I call a seeing view, because you can see for a long distance. I haven't got any way of measuring what the distance is, but it's very peaceful, very quiet. We are above, not the Colne directly here, but the Grand Union Canal, which runs through this bit of valley. Simon Farnaby appears in Detectorists as the bad guy, one of the bad guys, called the Shark, something Sharks, something like that. And when he appears with this, he's a tall bloke, and he's got curly hair, a bit sort of Kevin Keegan style hairstyle. And when he appears with his mate Paul, the heroes, Andy and Lance, think they look like Simon and Garfunkel. So they make lots of little jokes referring to Simon and Garfunkel. I used to like Simon and Garfunkel. I got their records when they first came out, and you can still see them on the net. And one connection I have slightly is that when I decided to call myself Peter the Rock, Terry Miles, my inspiration and a wonderful musician, great entertainer, still appearing regularly, usually on Thursday nights. Find him on YouTube, you won't be disappointed. Terry Miles, when I first started writing things in his live stream, I decided to call myself Peter the Rock, because rock was the type of music, and of course rock in Greek is Petrus, which is a bit like Peter. And then to my horror, once I started doing that, I discovered there were about 7 or 8 Peter the Rocks, and the others are all sort of biblical, which I didn't really want to be. So it's difficult to find me, so you have to subscribe to find me again. Anyway, enough of that. Where were we? Yes. So Terry plays a jingle. Whenever you give a little bit of money, anything, £1 or sometimes £100, people all around the world contribute during his shows. Very easy to do. You just press the dollar button, I think. Whenever you donate some money, he calls it, or it is called, a super chat. And when I first gave a super chat, of course your name comes up, and you can put some words with it, and he will play a little jingle that's appropriate. For example, there's a lady called Cecilia Hammerquist, who's from a Scandinavian country, I think it might be Norway, and she gives regularly, and he'll play, Cecilia, you're breaking my heart, I'm begging you please. So he'll play a bit of that, and so on. Everybody has a sort of fairly appropriate jingle, but he struggled with me because there aren't really any jingles where Peter the Rock comes in, except a little bit of a Simon and Garfunkel tune. But there are copyright issues, and I think if you can't really play quite a lot from an established group's repertoire. So he just plays a couple of chords or something. And if you want to hear it, then tune into a Terry Miles live stream. And if I give some money, you will hear my jingle. but that's not why I give it. I give the money because that's how he makes his living, really, through live streaming. There's a sign that says Hillingdon Trail, so I've just come down that. Public footpath U6. The Colne Valley Trail, going this way and that. And we've just descended most of the valley. So I've loaded you with information here about Simon Farnaby, Detectorists. He plays a chap in the show called Phil Peters, and his sidekick, whose real name is Paul, plays a chap called Paul Lee, and they are referred to as Simon and Garfunkel, and of course Simon's real name is Paul Simon. So it's Paul playing Paul, which is interesting. Well, I thought it was interesting. And but I've got very long hair, but I haven't permed it. I don't want to usurp Simon Farnaby's USP. So there we are, the abandoned shed. Good show. I hope you've seen it. Maybe people who live in America haven't seen it. It's won 2 BAFTAs. It was voted the 19th best sitcom out of 20. It's out of the top 20. It's pretty good, and it's a little light romp. Another star in it is Diana Rigg, who plays, let me think, McKenzie Crook's mother-in-law. And I've always been a big admirer of Diana Rigg, because she appeared, that's a great field, that is. She used to appear in the Avengers, or the New Avengers, and I once went to see her live in London when she was the lead in a play called Medea. Don't watch that play, folks. It's horribly gruesome and violent or whatever, but it just shows her acting range. And sadly, Diana died in 2020, I think. So, you know, whenever you see a play, there are always little vignettes, little histories of how people got to there, and who knows who, and all the rest of it. But acting is a tricky possession. Job, and I'll say no more about that, except that I'm not an actor. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I think that's probably it for today. Hope you enjoyed the views.